So this weekend, Bob Odenkirk is back in the action scene with Nobody 2. Does it live up to the first one? Let's talk about it. So last night I had the chance to go see Nobody 2, the sequel to the 2020 or 2021 movie. Just so everyone knows, I will not be talking any spoilers about Nobody 2 in this video, so if you're someone that's concerned about that, don't be. Before we get started with the review, if you're new here, subscribe, click the bell icon, do whatever you have to do so you don't miss any more movie reviews as I do them weekly for all the new releases that come out. And let's go. So from the moment, we get to see Bob Odenkirk again, you can see that he is just having a blast with this movie. So typically he usually goes for more dramatic roles like Saul from Breaking Bad, and just, more, and he also has done his fair share of animated stuff. Seeing him in a full-fledged action, kind of thing is nice where he's the main character, and I liked Nobody 1 a lot. So to say that, that I enjoyed Nobody 2 roughly around the same is, pretty high praise. But I would love to see him in more action roles because I think it fits him really well. So during the first movie, Christopher Lloyd kind of threw me for a loop that first of all, that he was even in the movie. And second of all, that he wasn't just some weak old man that, he was supposed to protect. But no, they literally came to his house and he had a shotgun in his armchair. Well, in this movie, he is no different. At some point, I know he's literally on a balcony and has a turret of sorts. He's just a crazy old man. That's really what he is. And I love it. I love Christopher Lloyd as the old, retired, army man that just is a psycho. So the action itself is really great. Again, with these movies, you get that cool kind of camera movement with all of the action. And that's something I always appreciate. I always talk about, my favorite example to talk about when it comes to great action cinematography is Kingsman, because I think they've just nailed the action cinematography in that movie. But that's a conversation for a whole nother day. I think Nobody 2 and Nobody do really good jobs of making sure that you're following the action and it's not just bland. I will say this. In this movie, the action is more bigger and it's and there's more, going on. I do think I enjoyed the action more in the first movie, and it simply comes down to the fact that it just felt more badass and gory, if that's what you want to call it. That's just the way I'm gonna put it, because in the first one, it's way more about hurting the people, and to me, in this one, it was more guns and explosions, which is fine, but yeah, I'm someone that definitely prefers the more, up close and knives and breaking the hand, that kind of stuff. What I thought was funny is, in the first movie, it's mostly just him protecting his family. And that is essentially the case here. But he also is trying to defend the public, this town. And it even comes to a point where the mom kind of helps out, towards the very end with whatever's going on. And now obviously she doesn't have all these skills like he does, but she can still shoot a gun or two, and she does exactly that. I think it's also worth mentioning, they kind of allude to the fact that oh, I hope the son doesn't become insanely violent and stuff like that. And he actually, has his own little moment in this movie, so it's kind of neat. So obviously the whole gimmick with this second movie is that it takes place in a water park, and it's supposed to be on vacation. And they do a pretty good job with it. They, the visuals at the actual water park fight, that whole thing is fun, and it's fun to look at. Again, I think they were really set on that, and I think that's why I didn't enjoy the action as much, but I still think that the action itself, when it comes down to it, was great, and it was a great time. I enjoyed a lot of the other sequences aside from the actual water park fight, more that I liked the one where it was on the boat, and some of the other action scenes where I thought better. But it was still a good time in terms of action sequences. So if you guys remember Bob's brother from the first movie, he kind of grew up with him, and he had that sniper rifle kind of thing in the first one. In this, he was when he called him, he was like in some like Chinese or kung fu like reserve or something. I don't know what it was, but by the end of the movie, he pulls out a straight katana and just like really goes, and it's badass. Finally, I just want to talk about the villain of this movie, because I kind of fluctuated my feelings a lot during this movie about how I felt about the villain. Because when you're first introduced to her, you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be like the very like hardcore, you know, badass villain that they build up to, and it's not gonna be anything. But then, like, a little bit into it, they actually like made her menacing, like killing a bunch of people, and like not just having her henchmen do everything, and like just being badass, like being a badass woman, right? And I thought, I'm like, oh my, like we might actually get like a pretty badass like woman villain here. And then the final fight came, and she did like one or two cool things, like she had like this star that she could throw, and that was cool. But she ends up getting defeated in a very easy way, and that was kind of a letdown, I gotta be honest. But yeah, guys, that was my review for Nobody 2. Let me know if you guys plan on seeing it this weekend, or if you know, if you're still kind of on the fence. Again, I was somebody that I was like, you know, like, am I gonna go see Nobody 2? And obviously I go to see everything just because, you know, it's my job to, you know, talk about this kind of stuff. But I think it's worth your time and your money. I think it's a worthy sequel to Nobody. I do think Nobody was the better film, but I still very much enjoyed this movie. I think I'm giving both of them 4 stars. So let me know what you guys thought about the movie if you've seen it, and I'll see you guys next week for another movie review. Peace, Colonels.